Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. Today on the podcast, we're talking about something that everybody has experienced in 2020, and that is having uncomfortable conversations about money. Recently, I was approached by a listener of this podcast asking if we could do an episode about how do you have uncomfortable conversations about money, and I'd be happy to. I have had to have uncomfortable conversations about money myself recently, particularly after one situation whereby a legal situation which had to be dealt with lawyers went far more expensive than what was originally planned. And we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And this was because of a situation that involved the opposite party being quite lazy in keeping up with their attorney's requests. I won't go into how ridiculous this situation was, but it ended up eventuating in an exorbitant legal bill that I just simply had to have an uncomfortable conversation with one of my attorneys about. And this is one of those situations whereby you could take two routes with it. You can just stay silent, and this comes with any bill, any kind of financially awkward situation. You can take two routes. You can say nothing and be very passive about it and hope that nobody notices. Most people do this, and it leads to a mountain of hell down the road. Excuse me. The other option is to confront it and to say, and this is a part of assertiveness, is going to the person and saying, listen, this is the situation that I'm faced with, and I need to have a conversation with you about the reality of this so that we can come to a mutually beneficial solution and plan to how we can resolve this so that you don't feel resentful and I don't feel any more anxiety than I already feel about not having to pay this bill. And so when I did this with my lawyer and went to him and said, listen, let me say one other thing. I mentioned to him before we entered into this agreement, I'm going to be very frank with you whenever it comes to anything. If it comes to money, if it comes to wanting you to take a direction with things, people know what to expect from me. And that's just that I'll be very honest and upfront and compassionate and empathetic. I won't be rude. I won't be aggressive. If I feel an injustice is being done, I will speak it. But if I feel that I can't meet up to the agreement that we have had, I will let you know as soon as possible that I see a red flag coming. I will do everything that I can to only agree to do what I am capable of, but things happen. And if I do see a challenge that occurs, you will be the first person to know about it. So when this situation arose and I received the bill, my jaw dropped when I saw it. And so I contacted him and said, listen, I'll be straight up with you. This is way over the budget that we had set. And if this bill is going to get paid, I'm going to need a payment plan. I can give you what I agreed to pay you in that lump sum, but the rest of it, we're going to have to come up with a payment plan for. And he was really understanding. Now, the reason most people will be understanding when you say this is because the whole world is experiencing all of this at the same time right now. People want to get paid eventually. People want to see at least some money coming in, because the alternative to it is you pay nothing and they end up seeing no way to pay their bills. So if you have suppliers that need paying, if you have employees that need paying. In the country that I'm in, here in America right now, it is illegal not to pay your staff. They have to be paid on time every time. If you see that that's coming and you're not going to be able to make payroll, action needs to be taken the moment you know that you're not going to be able to meet payroll. Either you take action by finding a way to make more revenue, sell some of the stuff that you've got, or you have to start giving people notice that you can't make payroll. Because the alternative to that is you end up screwing them over. Nobody wins in this situation if you're not upfront with people. And remember, your silence, because you don't want to have an uncomfortable conversation with someone, your silence ends up leaving a reputation where people no longer want to do business with you. So if you can find a way to say, hey, listen, I'm really sorry. I'm finding myself in a really challenging situation, and I want to give you as much of a heads up as possible. And then you explain the situation, finishing the statement off with, I'm here, or I want to organize a time where we can come up with a mutually beneficial outcome for both of us. So I need to understand what that looks like for you. Some people are finding themselves in situations where they can't pay their bread supplier. So what they're doing, and this isn't a COVID specific thing, I've seen this happen for decades in our industry, whereby you have shoddy operators who own cafes. They'll get a milk supplier or a bread supplier in the cafe, someone who delivers regularly on a daily basis. They'll ring up a really big bill and then just stop ordering once someone tries to collect from them and says, hey, we're not going to deliver to you unless you pay your bill. So they just stop ordering from them and go and use a different supplier. Then they rack up a big bill with them and then stop. And they can usually do that 3 or 4 times before people start noticing that this is what they've done. Don't do it. You are screwing other people over because you don't know how to run a business. And this is the kind of thing that I'm saying we're trying to eliminate from the industry. We don't want people to not open businesses, but if you're not aware that this is the trap that you're going to fall into, if you haven't done the fundamentals of a cost breakdown analysis and you understand what needs to happen by reading your profit and loss statement and understanding your balance sheet, knowing how to generate customers, if you don't know the fundamentals and how to put all those pieces together to run a viable business, you're going to end up being one of these people. And once you fuck people over, you will have a reputation that means that you won't be well revered. Back in Sydney, there was a chef who had decided he wanted to go into business. And he started doing this. He started ordering from suppliers. He wanted to open a cafe. He started ordering from suppliers for food. He started ordering exorbitantly expensive coffee. And because he was a well-renowned chef that had been getting written up, people trusted him. And he walked away paying none of his bills. He was closed within a few months and his reputation was completely shattered. I don't want you to end up in that situation. And the way you don't end up in that situation is once you recognize you are going to have these uncomfortable conversations, figure out a way to have them. Have the conversation, and I'm sure people, I'm even willing to say, I would guarantee most people right now are open to having these conversations with you in such a way that they end up being a great outcome for both of you. You'll have the room that you need to pay the bill. People will be very understanding and people will be as empathetic as they possibly can be in a time when they're extremely fatigued from all the empathy that they've had to dish out. These are rough times for all of us, friends, but please, 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 please lean into the difficult things that you're being presented with right now as much as you can, so that you can come to an understanding that helps you know, is this for me or is this not for me? And have I bitten off more than I can chew, or do I think I can navigate my way through this long term? Because success isn't making 3% net profit anymore. Right now, success is all about staying open. And the key to all of this, live within your means. Whether you're living as a business or you're living as an employee, live within your means. Extravagancy isn't what we're all about right now. These are times when we are just about keeping the doors open. And if you're lucky, thriving under those conditions. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.